As a distinguished academic, Herbert Barry's career has spanned several decades, beginning with his first position at the prestigious Yale University in 1959. Of course, his real story began years earlier, with an education that can only be described as stellar. Dr. Barry earned a Bachelor of Arts in Social Relations from Harvard College in 1952, a Master of Science in Psychology from Yale in 1953, and a PhD in Psychology from Yale in 1957. He then went on to complete postdoctoral studies as a research fellow at Yale until 1959. Shortly after completing his research fellowship, Dr. Barry was hired on as an instructor at his alma mater. He would continue to teach at Yale until 1961, when he left the school as an assistant professor to take on another assistant professorship at the University of Connecticut's Department of Psychology. This role would be short-lived, however, as it only lasted until 1963. He was then offered the position of research associate professor by the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy, and it was here that he truly found a home in academia, so much so that he would spend the remainder of his career teaching there. This is not to imply, however, that his time was idly spent. Rather, he tenaciously and diligently pursued a path to professorship, which bore fruit in 1970 in the form of his first role as a professor at the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology. As his knowledge and interests grew and diversified, so too did his roles with the University of Pittsburgh. He would eventually become a professor through the School of Dental Medicine in 1987 and an adjunct professor through the Department of Anthropology. Dr. Barry's final professorship occurred between 1995 until 2001, when he served as the professor of the Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences. Thereafter, he retired as a professor emeritus, and he currently looks back on an impressive career that has been filled with academic and intellectual achievement. As one might expect from a man of Dr. Barry's standing in the academic community, he has received a number of awards and accolades from peer organizations. He has been duly recognized as a member of Phi Beta Kappa and Sigma Xi, both well-known and respected scientific honor societies. Additionally, he has been honored as a fellow of several organizations, including the American Association for the Advancement of Science, the American Psychological Association, the American Anthropological Association, and the Collegium Internationale Neuropsychopharmacologicum. Dr. Barry earned a Distinguished Scientist Award from the Society for Stimulus Properties of Drugs, as well as a Research Scientist Development Award from NIM. In addition to his memberships with scientific organizations, Dr. Barry has held leadership roles with several of these groups. In 1973, he served for 1 year as the president of the Society for Cross-Cultural Research, and 2 years as a member of the Council of Representatives for the American Psychological Association. In 1977, he began his service as a vice president and member of the Executive Committee of the Research Society on Alcoholism. Dr. Barry served as the president of the Society for Stimulus Properties of Drugs, as well as the Division of Psychopharmacology for the American Psychological Association in 1980. He presently serves as a member of the Board of Directors of the Robert Schalkenbach Foundation, a Secretary of Common Ground USA, and a member of the Executive Committee of the American Name Society. This last position relates to one of Dr. Barry's prominent research interests, which involves the identification of attributes of popular male and female first names. His research also includes the selection of fictional names by authors of novels, including Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and William Makepeace Thackeray. Some of Dr. Barry's other research interests include the analysis of the personality, development, and careers of the presidents of the United States. The purpose of this study is to determine what, if any, psychological interpretations can be gleaned from the political history of the United States. Dr. Barry also studies the cultural variations that are present in social organizations. These variations manifest themselves in child training practices as well as adult behavior. To conduct this study, Dr. Barry has collected ethnographic descriptions from a world sample of 186 societies, and he has begun applying the same technique to nearly 200 members of the United Nations. He uses regression analyses to identify multiple predictors of cultural customs. Finally, Dr. Barry is working to determine the effects of taxation policies on several cities in Pennsylvania. His work mainly focuses on the lower property tax rate for land than buildings. Dr. Herbert Barry proudly reflects on nearly 60 years as an academic, and his accomplishments speak for themselves. He has committed himself to the furtherance of education and study, and for that his efforts are truly appreciated. There can be no doubt that Dr. Barry is a credit to his field, and that his work will continue to benefit his field for years to come.